Woody Green breaking through the line. This is a 43-yard touchdown run. 13-10 lead after the run for Jesuit. And the undefeated Crusaders clinched the game. Fourth down from the 8, Diallo Lewis to Chris Zervis in the end zone. 19-10, Jesuit undefeated. The playoffs will start next week. At St. Helens tonight, the unbeaten Lions in 3A ball against rival Scappoose. The Indians once beaten coming in. St. Helens quarterback Dean Timmons keeps the ball and just keeps going. 30 yards for the touchdown. And then it's senior Eric Thorson with some moves to be proud of. This play will go 70 yards with a nice cutback run. Unbeaten St. Helens winning again. 46-12 the final in that one. Other scores, top-ranked South Medford is upset by Roseburg. Number 2 South Salem wins easily. Gresham rolls over David Douglas, and number 6 Ashland an easy winner tonight. Oregon City routs Putnam. Sunset is surprised by Hillsborough 21-9. Lake Ridge knocked off by Canby 14-13. Wilson beats Benson in a PIL game, 25-14. It's Cleveland over Lincoln. Milwaukee rolls past Clackamas. A couple other scores, West Lynn losing to Lake Oswego, so Oswego gets into the playoffs, and Madison shuts out Grant.
And that's the name of that tune.
Yes, sir. There's Friday for you.
Boy, packed.
Busy.
Glencoe played Jesuit for the Metro League title. It's such a big game, we called in my partner, Renan Ann Schatz, to cover it.
I'll tell you what, it was cold and that wind was nasty out there. Glencoe led it 3-zip after 1, and the Tide added to it late in the second quarter. 4th and goal at the Crusader 6. A terrific call. Mark Corcoran with a nifty shovel pass to Rob Guthrie. 10-0 Tide at the half. Glencoe had the wind in the third quarter. It really could have put this game away, but it was Jesuit who got after it instead. Woody Green held in check most of that first half and went wild. The shifty speedster busts this baby all the way to the Tide 10-yard line. That sets up his 1-yard touchdown, 10-7 Glencoe. Jesuit's next possession, same story. The Woodman says, see you later, going 43 big yards for his second touchdown of the night. It gives Jesuit the lead for good, 13-10 Crusaders after 3. The Crusaders wrapped it up on this 4th and goal touchdown pass from Diallo Lewis to Chris Zervis. Jesuit rallies for the 19-10 victory. The Crusaders finish the regular season unbeaten, and they also win the Metro League crown. Ann Schatz, Newsroom 6 Sports.
All right, Ann Schatz. All right, the PIL title up for grabs tonight. Benson at Wilson, and right out to shoot, the Trojans scored when Brandon Prentice takes it in from a yard out, 7-0 Wilson. It was 10-0 Wilson in the third, and an interception set up this 13-yard scamper around the right side by Brian McMahon, 17 diddly Wilson. Still third quarter, and Tech tried to jumpstart the offense. Craig Spinks rumbled up the middle like Leon Spinks and cut it to 19-6 Wilson, but the Trojans were too much tonight. Here's what closed the show. Aaron Johnson picked off the bomb as Benson threatened with 4.5 to go in the game, and that was it. The Trojans win 25-14, and since they beat Jefferson earlier this year, Wilson is your PIL champion for 1991. Now a friend of mine, the big daddy of Portland's rhythm and blues, Paul DeLay, helps us check out the rest of the games. So debonair Dennis DeKay, a little traveling music, please.
No way to please you at all. You know my head's hurting for certain from banging against the wall. And I cried, Lord have mercy now, hey. Trying to be treated this way. If you don't want my loving, yes, I'll be on my merry way. I knew when I first met you, baby.
Jesuit at home against 4th-ranked Glencoe. At stake was the league title and the #1 state playoff berth that goes along with it. Just like a Norman Rockwell painting, isn't it? Football, popcorn, and a freezing Friday night. Glencoe jumped out to a 3-0 lead behind the foot of Rob Guthrie. The Crimson Tide defense in the first half would completely shut down the usually high-powered Jesuit offense. Chris Barrick drags quarterback Diallo Lewis to the ground right there. Still first half action. Mark Corcoran will throw to Jason Trelaw. Nice gain to help set up the game's first touchdown. Then it's going to be Corcoran with a shuttle pass to Rob Guthrie right here. He will make it in for the touchdown, but Jesuit came out breathing fire in the second half, scored 19 unanswered points. The final, Jesuit 19, Glencoe 10. Jesuit wins the Metro League. Other scores, Tigard over Aloha, Newburgh winners, McMinnville barely over Forest Grove, Hillsborough over Sunset. Wilson in the PIL beat Benson in a big game, Cleveland over Lincoln, Marshall big over Franklin, Madison beats Grant, Jefferson over Roosevelt. And at the Mount Hood League, a biggie between 5th-ranked Gresham and David Douglas. Gresham goes on to win it 28-7. They win the Mount Hood League title with that victory there. So all sorts of stuff. Blazers look very solid in the first game.
Tomorrow night to play.
Sporting Goods and Automotive Headquarters. By Smith's Home Furnishings, nobody cares like Smith's. By Honda, who would like to remind you there are car dealers and there are Honda dealers. And by the Ron Tonkin family of dealerships, home of Ron Tonkin Teledrive. And now your host, Steve Arena.
Good evening once again, everybody. Welcome to Sports Extra and the 9th and final week of regular season play for high schools in Oregon. Tonight, a complete look at week number 9. We'll also sort out the playoff picture with postseason action beginning next Friday. First stop tonight is Jesuit High School. The 3rd-ranked Crusaders hosting 4th-ranked Glencoe. The winner captures the Metro League Championship and the league's #1 berth in state. This is Woody Green for 37 yards down to the Glencoe 3. Glencoe led 10-0 at the half, but Green scores from the 1 to cut that margin to 10-7. It's the Woody Green show at Jesuit. He single-handedly brings his team back. Woody explodes for 43 yards in the touchdown, and can you believe it? Jesuit comes back in stunning fashion to lead 13-10. Then in the 4th, the Crusaders put it away. Diallo Lewis to Chris Zervis, and that does it. Jesuit wins the Metro, finishing a perfect 9-0 regular season. The final tonight, Crusaders 19 and Glencoe 10. 8th-ranked Sunset already had a playoff spot clinched, but tonight determined exactly where they would be entering round 1 next week. Now, Sunset played at Hillsborough tonight. The Spartans, on the other hand, desperately need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Eric Konecki for 14 yards, but the Spartans are stopped. Next, it's Sunset with the ball. They try to get something going. Eric Martin for 12 yards, but the Hillsborough defense tightens up and stops. And that's the story tonight, the Hillsborough defense. They bottle up Dak Jordan, and he can't generate the offense. An upset tonight, Hillsborough beats Sunset 21-9, only the Apollo's 2nd loss this year. Well, the pressure really on Beaverton and Newburgh. Both teams battling for the 5th and final playoff spot in the Metro. Both teams collided tonight at Beaverton High School. The Beavers needing a win for any playoff hope at all, and they showed they're ready for that challenge. Greg Eilers to Mark Cota a couple times helps Beaverton put together an impressive drive. And it's capped off with Eilers hitting Jason Jordan right here for 25 yards in the touchdown. But Beaverton finishes off a disappointing 3-6 season, losing to Newburgh tonight, the final 18-6. Other Metro League finals, Tigard beats Aloha 41-6, and McMinnville wins its first game of the year 6-2 over Forest Grove. Playoff teams from the Metro, Jesuit #1, Sunset #2, Glencoe #3, Tigard #4, and Newburgh #5. Well, the championship in the Three Rivers League went down to the final night. If Oregon City beats Putnam, the Pioneers win the championship. If they lose, the door remains open for Lake Ridge. So the pressure's on Oregon City, and they have to do it on the road against the Kingsmen, and that Pioneers offense is on a roll. Jeremy Lynch shows he can get it done on the ground, taking the ball all the way down to the Putnam 13. From there, Lynch does it again, 13 yards, and pay dirt. Oregon City rolls over the Putnam defense. You can't hold down Brian Piaski. He's Oregon City's breakaway man. He gobbles up 25 yards, and the Pioneers are on the move again. And it sets up the draw play, and Oregon City runs it perfectly. Brian Leach up the middle for 13 yards in the touchdown, and the Pioneers beat Putnam 50-28. Oregon City has conquered the tough Three Rivers League, winning the championship and the #1 berth to state. Lake Ridge needed a win tonight for any hopes at a league championship, and the challenge was a tough one, playing the Cougars at Canby. And Canby was ready. Take a look at this play. You won't see a better catch. The Cougars air it out. Pat Duchesne to Jason Martin. He dives and makes a great catch. 37 yards on the play to the Lake Ridge 15. From there, the Cougars work on the 6, and they finally get it when Duchesne hits Lauren Gibb. 7-0 Canby on top. Then the Cougars come through on defense. Matt Chase comes up big with the interception, and it keeps Lake Ridge off the board. A frustrating night for the Pacers. Take a look at their top running back, Cam Reynolds. He breaks free for 30 yards in the touchdown, but there's a penalty on the play. It doesn't count, and Lake Ridge is denied, losing to Canby 14-13. Two other Three Rivers scores. Milwaukee 38, Clackamas 6, and Lake Oswego 26, West Linn 13. Playoff order in the Three Rivers. Oregon City number 1, Lake Ridge number 2, Lake Oswego number 3, and Milwaukee number 4. Well, stay with us. There's a lot more to come on Channel 2 Sports Extra. Giant matchups in the PIL and Mount Hood conferences. Gresham and David Douglas square off for the top spot in the Mount Hood. We'll have the highlights next on Channel 2 Sports Extra.
The decision to buy a new Honda.
In the PIL tonight, Jefferson went after its first city football championship since 1969. To clinch the title, the Democrats had to beat Roosevelt and then get some help from Benson. To the highlights. Jefferson at home against Roosevelt, and the Democrats are off and rolling early. Damon McPherson to Joe Robertson, first down in Roosevelt territory. Then get the ball to Anthony Green, and he's off. 25 yards, another first down, and Jefferson is knocking at the door at the Roosevelt 5-yard line. And Green takes care of business from there. The Democrats complete their end of the deal, beating Roosevelt tonight, the final 39-0. The battle for this year's PIL championship game came down to the Wilson-Benson showdown. If the Trojans win, they are city champions. But if they lose, Jefferson is number 1, Benson number 2, and Wilson number 3. We take you to Wilson High School, where the Trojans defense makes a statement all night long. Aaron Johnson with the interception. He takes it back to the Benson 25-yard line. And it leads to a Wilson touchdown, and it's Brian McMahon breaking free. He rambles 15 yards for the touchdown. Wilson builds a 17-0 lead, and Benson's in big trouble. After a safety, the Techmen finally get it going. Craig Spinks from 4. The Wilson lead is down to 19-6. But the Trojans come right back. Again, it's the defense making the difference. And again, it's Aaron Johnson with the big play, intercepting the pass and taking it back to midfield. The Trojans cap off a big night when Ryan Erickson scores from the 2. Wilson beats Benson 25-14. They are PIL champions and take the number 1 berth into the state playoffs. Marshall and Franklin got together tonight, not for the PIL championship, but the pressure was just as great. The winner claimed the 4th and final playoff spot. The loser was finished for the year. We pick it up with Marshall on the attack. Quarterback Tavis Campbell isn't afraid to do it on his own. He picks up 11 yards down to the Franklin 6-yard line. It eventually sets up Marshall's first score of the night. Damon Williams from the 1, 7-6 Minutemen. Later, Marshall's defense comes up with a huge play. Darren Kowalski with the interception, and the Minutemen are in business again, and they take advantage. Again, it's Tavis Campbell, but this time he doesn't stop until he hits pay dirt. 25 yards in the touchdown. Marshall wins 40-24, advancing to the playoffs. Other PIL finals: Cleveland beat Lincoln 14-7, and Madison over Grant 27-0. PIL playoff order: Wilson wins it and is number 1, Jefferson number 2, Benson number 3, and Marshall the 4th team from the PIL. The Mount Hood Conference Championship on the line tonight. That race came down to Gresham, David Douglas, and Barlow. The Gophers and Scots went head-to-head tonight. If Gresham wins, they are league champions and take the number 1 berth into the state playoffs. The Gophers knew exactly what they had to do, and they went out and got the job done. First with the pass, Curtis Loeb to Sean Nielsen. 44 yards on the play, 7-0 Gresham on top early. A little later, Gophers faced with 4th and 3, and they go for it and come up big. John Valadez for 18 yards. It leads to another Gresham touchdown and a 13-0 lead. Then the Gopher defense gets into the act. The key man on this play is number 3, Jim Jones. He intercepts and takes it home, 31 yards for another touchdown, and Gresham is rolling. David Douglas avoids a shutout thanks to this touchdown. Great catch by Bill Herget, but it's not enough. Gresham wins the conference championship 28-7 over David Douglas. Barlow with a lock on a playoff spot, so tonight they were fighting for position, ranging from 1st to 3rd in the league. The Bruins at Civic Stadium against Central Catholic, and Barlow on the move early. 4th and 8, Terry Hurt to Joe Brierbauer, and the drive is still alive. And that's good news for Barlow, because a little later they strike. Willie Huffman from 7 yards out on the final play of the first quarter, 7-0 Barlow on top. Then, coming up, the second effort of the night. It's courtesy of number 25, Shannon Johnson. He's almost stopped, but it keeps on spinning. Finally, he breaks free and is gone. 72 yards for the touchdown, and Barlow ends the regular season with a 52-13 win, their 8th in 9 games. The Mount Hood Conference has its 4 playoff teams, and here they are. Gresham number 1, Barlow number 2, David Douglas number 3, and Reynolds the 4th team from the Mount Hood Conference. Last week, second-ranked South Salem wrapped up the Valley League Championship, but there was still a lot of business to take care of in the final night of the regular season. South Salem remains unbeaten, 33-14 over McKay. McNary beats Sprague 30-14. North Salem 40-6 over Crescent Valley. Lebanon 27-25 over Corvallis. And South Albany 19, West Albany 18. Playoff position in the Valley: South Salem number 1, McNary number 2, North Salem number 3, and McKay number 4. Midwestern action tonight. Sheldon beats Churchill, the final, 27-0. Willamette beats North Medford 51-14. Marshfield 47, North Bend 9, North Eugene 24-20 over South Eugene, and Springfield loses to Thurston 7-6. Playoff order in the Midwestern is Sheldon number 1, Willamette number 2, Marshfield number 3, and North Eugene number 4. Intermountain Conference tonight. Pendleton beats Hermiston 39-8. LeGrand shut out by Crook County 12-0. Bend 21, Mountain View 6, and Redmond loses to Walla Walla 49-13. Playoff position for the Intermountain: Pendleton number 1, Hermiston number 2, and Bend number 3. Southern Oregon action tonight. Look at this. Roseburg stuns number 1 South Medford 15-14. Ashland beats Klamath easily 42-3. Grants Pass 13, Crater 6, and Mazama 28-6 over Eagle Point. Playoff order now for the Southern Oregon Conference: South Medford number 1, Ashland number 2, Mazama number 3, and Grants Pass number 4. Roseburg has failed to make the playoffs. Still ahead on Sports Extra, a Class 3A showdown between St. Helens and Scappoose. And of course, our Southwest Washington report. Battleground and R.A. Long kick it off tonight at District Stadium. Highlights in Southwest Washington scores next on Channel 2 Sports Extra.